Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Two Shot Factor. Recording in my home studio now because, of course, the main studio is under renovation. Oh, I got my tropical plant here, or a tree. It's a little mini tree. We're going to talk about Ukraine today. Yeah, I had family from Ukraine, people that left just before the First World War. A little before. My grandma, who had some books she's been keeping, like a family tree. There's a picture. Is my grandma's family. There's a guy here in the middle. He looks like a very noble kind of dude. The exposure's a little blown up. I mean, it's like 1903. They didn't have quite the HD photos back then. Like, they didn't have the Wi-Fi either. Carlos, can we talk to our Kazakhstanian colleague?
Tsarist repression and the still pre-modern character of Ukrainian society in the Russian Empire impeded the growth of a political movement. A secret society, the Cyril and Methodius Brotherhood, existed briefly in 1845 to 47. Its program advocated social equality, an end to national oppression, and a federation of Slavic states under the leadership of Ukraine. The Brotherhood was quickly uncovered and suppressed, and its leaders arrested and punished. Hey buddy, you're going to jail. You won't be getting no bush where you're going. In the second half of the 19th century, clandestine societies called Vromadas were formed in various cities to promote Ukrainian culture, education, and publishing under conditions of illegality. Originally associated with the Kiev Romada, who was the leading political thinker of the time, Mikhail Romanov, who advocated the transformation of the Tsarist Empire to a federative republic in which Ukrainian rights would be assured. Hey buddy, it's me, Mikhailo. You need to take a bath, Russian. Toward the end of the century, younger, primarily student-led Romadas became more overtly involved in political activities. One such group, in Kharkiv, developed into the Ukrainian Political Party, which, in a pamphlet published in 1900, advanced for the first time a public political goal of a one free, independent, indivisible, single Ukraine.
In the middle here we have Aksenti. A lot of people were named Aksenti, I think. Aksenti Slazarchuk. Now you may recognize the end of the name Chuck, like Kovalchuk, for example. We all remember the great hockey player Ilya Kovalchuk, who was born far in the east part of Russia near Mongolia, whereas these people were born in Ukraine, which in terms of Soviet Union is, I think it's actually a little west of Moscow. I've been checking out some maps. He was born June 3rd, 1845 in Chernowitz, Bukovina, Austro-Hungarian Empire. Died June 2nd, 1922 in Leonard District, RM of Shellmouth, Manitoba. Chernowitz is known as Chernivtsi, Ukraine. Bukovina is split across Romania in the south and Ukraine in the north. This was my grandma's grandpa, so my great-great-grandpa, safe to say I never met this guy. I mean, he died 55 years before I was even born. This guy here is one of his sons, and then there's some other brothers and sisters and kids. My grandma would have been born quite a number of years after this. They went through several places, and they worked their way over to on a ship. I don't have the ship here. Carlos, can we just get a ship? There we go. Yes, they were hanging with the Swiss Family Robinson for a while. They battled pirates. They used coconut bombs and logs. And eventually they got to Manitoba. In Manitoba, that's where a lot of Ukrainians went, and they built a church right away, because that's what all people did from Europe. They would go somewhere and just build a church, and then they were cool. I remember great-grandma Slazarchuk. I mean, I don't really remember her. She was one of those, she was like really old, and you only remember her like a few times when you're a little kid, you know, and she probably has a Ukrainian accent. You don't really know much about it. See, it said here Austro-Hungarian Empire. Austro-Hungarian Empire was big. They were big through like... They had also Czechoslovakia, too, in their empire. That then they became their own countries. There was a place called Bukovina, like I said, and that got split in half. And that was part of Romania on the south and Ukraine on the top. And now it is Ukraine, and it's being destroyed by Russia. And I wonder if I have any relatives that I don't know of over there that are actually my relatives. So if anyone knows of these names, Slazarchuk and Bukovina and See, they left before World War I. I'm not sure what was going on there. I mean, it was pretty much fighting all the time. That's all that's ever gone down in that part of the world. The region has been sparsely populated since the Paleolithic era, with several now extinct peoples inhabiting it. Eventually, the early Slavs in Bukovina in the 4th century.
During the 10th century, it became part of the Kievan Rus and later the Principality of by Moldavians, those are Romanians, and Ruthenians, those are Ukrainians. If you heard of the Kievan Rus spread in the region with the Bukovinian administered from Kiev, all this stuff I probably heard.
Then in the 14th century, Bukovina passed to Hungary. King Louis I of Hungary appointed Dragos, voivode of Moldavia, as his deputy. That's quite the name. I'm speaking with an English accent even though I'm in Hungary. And I'm appointing, let's see, we've got Dragos, voivode of Moldavia. Does he have the croutons? I want to put them in my salad. I need that real Dragos kind of flavor. Not enough Dragos. Get more dogs in there. I want some Lithuanian, Bulgarian dogs. Ruthenians. Okay.
Buy my croutons.
Cohabited Bukovina, fighting together against invaders and oppressors. The territory of what became known as Bukovina was, from 1774 to 1918, an administrative division of the Habsburg monarchy. Yeah, Hasbro action figures. Local saw to annex the historically Ruthenian north to the Western Ukrainian National Republic in the early 20th century. However, the Kingdom of Romania seized the whole province in 1918, pursuing a policy of Romanization in the region. In 1940, the northern half of Bukovina, that was getting into World War II time, and I think the Russians, they took Ukraine back or something, and Romania, and then Romania was supposed to be under some treaty act of peace with the Germans, part of there, and then they took Romania back, and then Russia took that back because they kicked the Germans' ass because the Germany was too cold. They didn't have the right mittens. They're like, oh, we forgot our mittens. Can we just time out a little bit? Yeah, try not to hurt us too much while we look for our boots and mittens. And here's another picture of him. Is that long hair or just a shadow? He looks kind of like Nick Nolte. Is my great-great-grandpa the shining descendant of Nick Nolte? Or no, ascendant? Romania is where her mom's side of the family, so my grandma's mom's side of the family. The Zelenskys, kind of like the prime minister or premier or president, whatever he is, of Ukraine, who's on the news always. Aksenti Slazarchuk, he left, him and other relatives left around 1903, and there was some soldiers that were trying to get them into the military, and they had to pretend to be Jewish and get circumcised, or something the other. I'm not sure about this, so they could avoid fighting in the front lines. I can't remember how that worked out, because Jews were never that popular back in those days.
Hey, buddy, you gotta say I'm fine, World War I. No, I want to go to Manitoba and drive a recreational vehicle. Do they do that there? No papers?
Apparently, this guy killed an officer to help escape. He made some deal with a guy at a boat. I guess that's what. Well, hold on a sec here. That's where these noodles are from. He was like, I can give you all these beef Mr. Noodles. And they're like, why no vegetable and extra spicy kind? Where's the mushroom flavor and shrimp? It's like, oh, these such varieties. What stores do you go to see this? You travel more to Romania? You go out to Transylvania? We only have this beef flavor. It's tough times. Anyway, so that's my family history. It's real. They're Ukrainian. Okay, looks like we got some Mr. Noodles soup. I believe that actually came from Ukraine.
Developed into the Ukrainian political party, which had a
Okay, I'll wear that fedora and that other weird jacket. I'm gonna have to find it. It's out in the hallway somewhere, I think. Main studio is under renovation. There was rhinoceroses, large rhinoceroses. Jumanji was being played. We had some kids hanging out, playing with games they shouldn't have been. But I mean, everything looks a little white, and the kids' eyes sometimes look kind of like white, almost like, because remember you had the red eye thing? It used to happen in photos in the 80s all the time. It wasn't just because people were on Prozac. Did they even have Prozac back then? I'm loading this Logitech thing. Does anyone know about Logitech G-Hub? I'm working with the Yeti Blue mic here. But we've got some kids wearing some traditional Kazakhstanian or Ukrainian type gear. In fact, I was going to dress like that. Maybe we'll do a little thing after. We'll have to edit that in. We'll talk to our Kazakhs. Actually, we just saw Fiona using the same Yeti Blue mic. Fiona Forbes.